good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Ask Dr. Reilly Show. My name is Dr. Anissa Reilly, and I have the honor and privilege of being your host tonight. This season has been amazing. We've gone on some journeys with our guests that have shared their loss with you, and tonight's guest is no different. She is going to knock your socks off with her story about loss of time. Some of you may be wondering, how do you lose time? Well, when you listen to Jamila T. Davis's story tonight, you're gonna see how it's possible, but you're also going to see how it is amazing that you can gain that time back and do amazing, wonderful, and impactful things for not only yourself, but the people around you. So, put your hands together. As I always share with you, get your popcorn, get your favorite snack, get your drink, sit down, and welcome with me, my guest, Jamila T. Davis. All right, Jamila. Woo-hoo! You should be clapping, everybody. And here she comes.
Hi,
How
Dr.
are
Reilly.
you? Thank you.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. It is an honor and a privilege for you to join us, for you to share your story with our audience. So before we even get into it, can you just let the audience know who you are and why Jamila T. Davis is somebody you need to put on your radar if you don't already have her on your radar?
Hi, everyone. My name is Jamila T. Davis. I am an author, activist, motivational speaker, and now educational leader.
Yes.
So I am definitely happy to be here with you today to share my story of loss.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Like I said, make sure she's on your radar if you don't have her on there already. And if you haven't done so, make sure you reach out to your friends, your families, and tell them, tune in, because Jamila is on tonight. So the first question that I like to ask my guest, Jamila, is, what does loss mean to you?
So I guess that could be a lot of things, but loss for the typical person is something being taken away. But I've learned on my journey that loss could actually be God's way of reconstructing you, recreating you, and doing something new in you. So it's about how we look at it. But if we look at the glass half full instead of half empty, loss could actually be a positive thing.
Yes. So can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I know some of our viewers are like, loss is positive. So how do you equate loss with being positive?
So basically, when you understand God and how he moves, sometimes he has to take away in order to give. Sometimes you got to know that he is God. So what happens in our life is we go around creating things and doing things, which is our plan. But his plan is actually bigger than any plan that we could ever have, right? And so I like to say obstacles are God's way of actually giving you something greater. So in every obstacle, there's an opportunity for growth, but it's how we look at it, right? For instance, someone could lose their job, and that would seem like loss to them. But that might be God's way of setting them up to create their own business that's going to bring them wealth. So it's about looking at the situation and observing what God is trying to say or do in the moment, you know?
And I'm glad you said that, because we're in the midst of the pandemic and people have been losing their jobs, and some people are looking at it as a place where they're just lost and destitute. But what you're saying means look at it as an opportunity to reconstruct themselves.
Correct.
And so let's talk about what occurred that caused you to say, I need to reconstruct myself. So take us back to that moment when you lost some time.
Okay. So my story is, I guess, not your typical story. I grew up in Jamaica, Queens, New York. My mom was a school teacher. My father was a transit supervisor. And they wanted me and my brother to have the things that they didn't have. So I was reared up in the dance school, the theater arts. I was an A student, and life was supposed to be great in my parents' eyes. But when I went to Fiorella LaGuardia High School of Performing Arts in Manhattan, this good girl kind of went bad. And let me tell you what that means. So basically, I met my first boyfriend, who was a 16-year-old drug dealer, and I kind of wanted to be down with the cool kids. So I rebelled against my mother, especially when she didn't accept my boyfriend, and I just went to do my own thing.
Wait, let me pause you right there, because you just said something that I think is major to all of our stories. Good girl likes bad boy, right?
Yes.
And there's something about the bad boy that attracts us. And I don't think it's so much the bad boy, but it's the clout, it's the life, it's the when they walk into the room, you want to be associated with that. And so we get attached to that. And our parents are like, what?
Exactly. Now, my mother was not having it. So she was like, absolutely not. But I think also for me, I always like bad boys because of their courage, right? So when you're in their presence, you feel protected, right? So I wanted that. And my mother was like, nah, we're not doing that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do my own thing. So I went off to do my own thing. And in the process of that, I got my spirit crush. You see, I was 14 years old at the time. And I was playing in a big girl's lane. And I thought I could handle it. But when the 16-year-old left me for the other 16-year-old, right, that was getting money. So he left me for a girl that was a baker. And he told me that he was going to be with her and not me because she got her own money.
Wow.
So for me, that was a devastating blow because I didn't understand that. I had always saw 2-family household. You know, I thought I would be with this guy and live happily ever after. But when he left me, it started bringing up insecurities. I didn't feel good enough. I didn't feel pretty enough. So all I heard was him say he left me for her because she got her own money. So you know what I said at that point? Okay, Jamila, you about to get your own money by any means necessary.
Okay, I understand that one. Okay, get it or because I ain't gonna never be rejected again.
Correct. So instead of healing, right? Instead of going through the grieving process, right? The correct way. I went chasing money. And that I did. I became a multimillionaire by the time I turned 25 years old. I had entered the lane of the music industry. I had a lot of hip hop clients and I had a lot of sports figures that were my clients. And I was helping them get homes and credit and all of these different things. And long story short, I was driven. But I was driven by, again, wanting to be accepted. Right? Wanting to be the cool kid, wanting to shine and show them that nobody would ever leave me again because I really got it going on. But inside I was broken because I was using materialistic things to really hide my insecurities.
And cover up
the wound, but not deal with the wound. So for me, I think it was God's encounter like, okay, Miller, enough is enough. I was doing what I call prostituting my anointing.
Wait. I have to take a wait. Because that's the that was a word.
Really? And so many people do it every day, every single day.
Say that again. Prostituting your anointing. Before you go on, you have to explain that, unpack that. Give us some more about that.
So the one thing we do is dream.
Yeah.
And we talk about it often. What does the OSG Summit in LA mean to you?
Well, being around your people, or what we like to say is our tribe, that can pour into you when you have those moments of uncertainty, when you have those moments that you want to jump off the ledge because leadership and education becomes so daunting and so hard. But being around the people gives you that shot of energy that you need, that shot of adrenaline that you need. So this coming together in LA is just a coming together of that energy, of that adrenaline, of that espresso shot that you need in the morning just to get it going before you crash. That's what it means. So it means a coming together of like-minded people. It means coming together with a tribe. Lions travel in packs. Elephants travel in packs. Right? And you never forget your pack. And so this is my tribe, this is my pack. And we're doing big things together, dreaming together. Prostituting your spiritual anointing. Before you go on, you have to explain that, unpack that. Give us some more about that.
Okay. So each of us were created with a gift.
Yeah.
We was created to do something great on earth, right? And from a kid, I've been a woman of God because that's how my mother raised me, right? But I didn't really understand my gifts and talents because nobody really sits you down and explains this works for this or that works for that. But I have a unique gift to galvanize, to connect people, to draw in. I have a prosperity anointing on my life. So pretty much whatever I touch turns to gold. And that started happening in the music industry. I started introducing the ball player to the rapper and the rapper to this one. And I started creating these mini empires for folks, not really understanding. But again, I wasn't doing what God called me to do. So I had to be laid off. I had to lose so I could gain. It was in 2008 that I was sentenced to serve 12 and a half years in federal prison.
Wait, stop.
Yes.
Y'all did hear that correctly. 12 and a half years, federal prison.
For bank fraud.
A go-getter, a woman of God, a woman who was set up by her parents to do what is right.
Yeah, and then for me, I left that to do what everybody else wanted me to do. And I felt good inside when I was helping other people get money and be successful. But again, I was prostituting my anointing. I was helping a people that I wasn't even called to because I didn't know my people. I hadn't met my people as of yet, but it was behind bars that I really had an encounter with God. See, so we'll talk about that. Our parents will introduce us to God at a young age. I heard my grandmother sing about God. I've been in places where I thought maybe I felt the spirit of God, but I didn't know God. It wasn't until the doors of the prison closed behind me. And I was stripped away of all the jewelry and the cars and the status and all of the things that I once used to define me, that I actually had to face my demons in the mirror. And in that place, that's when I had no choice but to either die or reach out to God. And I got on my knees and I cried like I never cried before. And I said, God, please help me. And he showed up in my life in such a mighty way. So for me, I actually had to do pretty much all of my 12 and a half year sentence in prison. And most people would be like, well, you know, God, if you love me, you would deliver me from this. But I didn't realize at the time that was the process that God was using to groom me for what was next, right? So see, when you're a doctor, you got to do an internship. You got to go a couple places. You got to get familiar with the equipment and the tools that you're using. So it was in that dark place that God shined this light on me, and he showed me my gifts and my talents, and he showed me what I was supposed to do, which was to help his people, the people that he called, that was chosen. See, a lot of people don't understand, but the very people that go behind bars is because God chastens those that he loves. So, you know, a father that doesn't really love his kids will let you go amok, but a father that loves you, right?
Preaching,
he will
girl.
chastise you and cause you to sit down so he can lift you up. So I realized in this dark place that a lot of the people that I was around was just like me. And in that place, I started writing, I started reading, and I started really getting to develop a relationship with God, which helped me to see who I was. See, how can we believe in ourselves if we don't know who created us, if we don't really know the power of our God and how good and merciful he really is? If we don't know him, how could we believe that we are, right? So it was that encounter really that changed my life.
Okay, well, first, I just want to say, you know, we could end the interview right now, and that was right there. If you stop eating your snacks, I understand why, because I'm stuck like, that just happened. But I wanted to go back to something you said, just for our, you know, viewers who are being nosy. What happened with the bank fraud? So you went to jail for bank fraud for 12, you know.
So I was getting houses in luxury communities. So I got involved in a real estate game at a young age, and I realized that you can make money on the low end of the market or the high end. And I got in and I started buying estates. So I had, I controlled over $30 million worth of properties in Alpine and Saddle River, New Jersey, which are two of the most prominent areas of New Jersey. And I was bringing in the rappers and the ball players and stuff like that to purchase these homes. So what I was doing was not wrong, but the financing of it was wrong. So I had a mortgage broker who was pushing through the loans through Lehman Brothers Bank, and they were down. They
Yeah.
knew what we were doing, but I was playing the good old boys game that the white boys are allowed to play, but the black young girls are definitely not wanted in this area. So they stopped me. And really at the point, I thought that, it was over for me. When the feds came in, kicked in the doors, destroyed relationships, I thought I could never get up or never come back from this.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize at the time that was God setting me up for something greater.
Yeah.
So it goes back to that thing that you was talking about,
Yeah.
loss. You really think you're losing something. I said, wow, I'm losing these millions of dollars I was making. I'm losing my social status. I'm losing all of this. And I wanted to give up, but I didn't realize that the end would be greater than the beginning if I allowed myself to surrender to the process.
Yes. And I want my audience to know that you heard her talk about her anointing and how she has the gift of connecting people. And the reason why the show is where it is today, or it is today, or even started, was because of Jamila.
That's crazy.
She doesn't even realize that, because about not even a year November of 2020 we made a year that Jamila and I met, and we were sitting down at a table, and we were having a conversation about another work we were going to do on the school level. And in that conversation, the Spirit of God just hit, and the conversation switched, and Jamila was like, you're going to do this is how you're going to do that, this is what's going to happen, and she just commenced to speaking to me, and I was just like, okay, okay. And look where we are today.
That's the power of God. That's the power of God. And again, like I said, I don't have any formal training, right? So my mother is not a prophetess, and my father is not this, that, the third. I went to church, but I didn't have a training. It wasn't until I got alone with God that I learned how to hear his voice. You see, when in the streets we running, we don't have time to sit and listen. Or we'll sit and pray to God and tell him everything we want, but we don't have time to listen to what he's saying to us. So being laid off, for that, basically I spent out of that 12 and a half years, I did 9 years in federal prison, and I did 1 year on house arrest. So in that 10-year span, I learned how to listen to the Spirit of God. So when I was in your office that day, it was that unction that sat on me that I realized that he had a word for you, and I let him use me to give you that word. And I'm just so glad that I did, because look at where we at today.
Yeah, me too, I'm so happy.
But I want to say to somebody out there, God is speaking to you. But are you listening? The same gift that I have, many of you have, but do you know how to use it? Do you know how to allow it to be cultivated? You got to sit sometimes and just get quiet. Quiet. So instead of listening to your mind, listening to your fears, you can listen to your spirit.
So what do you say? Because people really sometimes don't believe that women are in prison for as long as they are. There are children at home, there are families at home. So what do you say to that woman who may have been in the situation that you were in, and their relationships with their children, or their relationships with themselves, or relationship with who they are as a woman is still at a place where they're like, I'm lost?
I'm Liz Swivola. I'm a Senior Program Associate with the Center on Sentencing and Corrections at the Vera Institute of Justice. Most of the national conversation around mass incarceration and the growth of incarceration has focused on prisons, which house people who are sentenced. What's been overlooked is jails. The Vera Institute of Justice has started looking into local incarceration, and what we've found is that it's been growing dramatically. Since 1970, there's been a 5-fold increase in the number of people in jail. When we took a deeper look at incarceration at the local level, we found something really surprising, and that was the growth among women. Since 1970, the population of women in jails has grown 14-fold. So despite this dramatic growth in the number of women, there really hasn't been much research to explore why women are increasingly ending up in jail. Most of the research is old, it's dated, it's scarce, and it only scratches the surface about who these women really are. What we do know from research on women in jails and women in the justice system more generally is that most of them are women of color, most come from very poor communities, and almost 80% are mothers, and most of those are single mothers. So although jails were originally designed to hold those who were either a danger to the community or a risk of flight, many of the women who are in jail are there on low-level, non-violent charges. 32% of women in jail are there for property offenses, 29% for drug offenses, and nearly 21% for public order offenses. We also know that many women in jail have experienced trauma over the course of their lifetimes. When they come to jail, the environment often triggers a lot of that trauma that they have experienced. So anything from shackling to being in solitary confinement, to being observed by male officers while doing private things like showering or using the restroom can be deeply traumatizing for these women. In this moment of jail reform and local criminal justice reform that's taking place across the country, it's time to bring women into the conversation. This report is a first step to doing that. We invite you to read the report and to learn more about what's happening in your community by using the Incarceration Trends tool on VERA's website.
So what do you say to that woman who may have been in the situation that you were in, and their relationships with their children, or their relationships with themselves, or relationship with who they are as a woman is still at a place where they're like, I'm lost?
That's real. You just said the realest thing ever, because prisons for the American system are used to warehouse individuals. It's not to transform individuals. So most of people go, they come out worse because they meet even worse people that teach them how to do something that they would have never dreamed or imagined doing. So I feel like the entire prison system needs to be transformed, and it needs to be created for rehabilitation. I just had a praying mother who was an educator, right? Who began to educate me from behind bars. See, she couldn't get her baby's ear before because I was running, I was making money. I wasn't listening to my mother. But when those friends got ripped away from me, it was my mother who I call every day to lift up my spirit. And during that time,
Wait, can I pause you right there? The only reason why I want to stop you, I'm so sorry, is because I think there are parents out there who may have given up on their children when they went into jail. Like, that's it. I'm tired of you. I'm cutting you off. But your mother was like, oh, she saw the opportunity in the loss to say, oh, now you can listen to me.
yes.
So I just wanted to say to the mothers
that was
out
real.
there,
She
that don't
inspired
give
me.
up. Yeah,
So that was it. You know, I remember crying to my mother one day when I called home and I said, Mommy, I can't do this. And she said, baby, when you have gone as low as you can go, the only thing you can do is look up. Look up. She said, there is something brighter ahead. And with that, my mother encouraged me to go back to school. She paid for me to go back to school while I was incarcerated. So behind bars, I got my associates, I got my bachelor's, I got my master's, and I began to work on my PhD. And she also became my publisher. So my mother helped me start a publishing company from behind bars, where not only did she publish my books, but then she helped to publish books for the other women that were around me. So when I tell you, you just never know what can be done until you actually connect with folks and really just have their attention. And my mother had my attention at that time, and then she allowed God to use her to help me.
and you listen to her, because sometimes
did.
we have people that will speak into our lives and we can't hear, we don't want to hear, we don't want to listen. I know you talked about the publishing company that your mom started with you, and talk about the book that is out, because the book is dope.
Yes, Built to Outlast the Storm. It's how to turn a setback into a major comeback. So it's 12 points to that. And it goes back to what you said about loss.
Yeah.
See, people don't listen a lot of times until they lose.
Yeah.
So some of us are so stubborn that we got to get our head knocked in before we really get on our knees and surrender. So I've learned now, when the hits come, you know, it's so funny. When I was a little kid and my father used to beat me, I would cry before the belt hit me to lessen up the hit. And I learned to do that with God. Like, sometimes when you see the hits come, and surrender. Stop trying to do it your way. Just tell them, listen, God, what do you want me to do? Right? I'm here today in the studio with you because I start listening. Okay, God, what do you want me to do? I'm going to surrender to your plan. And the quicker we surrender to his plan, that's the quicker that the hit will lessen, if that makes sense.
If that don't make sense, I don't know what else does, because I totally understand that, because I remember running and running, doing my thing my own way, because I'm successful. I have my doctorate. I'm doing it big. And then you still at night with yourself, by yourself, and you know something that's not right. And so it's just in the surrendering that allows us to get to a place of saying yes. And I appreciate that. Where can I get your book?
Yes, so Built to Outlast the Storm is available on Amazon.com. And actually, wherever books are sold, but definitely Amazon.com. And you can follow me at www.Jamila, JamilaTDavis, DAVIS.com.
Okay. So there's some other work that you're doing. You said you were a social activist. So you probably know her from this, but share the social activist work you have been working on to help our country when we've gone through loss.
Now that's what's up. So I got in the activism game on the bunk bed in prison, reading articles, and it was this one young lady that really inspired me, and her name is Tamika D. Mallory. And this is the power of manifestation. I used to read about Tamika in Ebony and all of the different magazines that I would get, because that was like our outlet. And I saw this young black girl and I said, she looks like me. If she could do it, I could do it too. So from behind bars, I also became the co-founder of Women Over Incarcerated. And that's a nonprofit organization that we created to share about the lengthy sentences many nonviolent offenders that are women get, even as first-time offenders. I have friends that are serving life as first-time offenders, and folks don't know. So we created that platform. Then when I came home, I actually was introduced through two separate people to Tamika D. Mallory. And then we started our activism. One of the first plights was MDC in Brooklyn. The lights and the heat went off for inmates. And we went and we advocated and we rallied up the troops. And within 3 days, them lights and that heat came back on, and we had people from all across the country there. And it garnered so much attention, and I saw the power of using your voice. The power of standing up and speaking against, what you feel is injustice. So now I am down with the Until Freedom team. One of the things that my plight is to help at-risk youth, right? So it's really to stop the school to prison pipeline. So I'm in schools, and that's actually where we first met. We're programming to kind of educate kids about entrepreneurship, show them other ways out than taking the wrong route. And I also have a social justice program with the Until Freedom team that we do with youth all across the country. So I'm excited about being able to actually get out and use my gift for what it was created for.
So you heard that, so please make sure you reach out for that. And I also want to ask you about, so now that you were gone for 12 years, lost 12 years of your life, you are a parent, you are now being a social activist. What do your children say?
So God is great, right? So you would think that my kids would be upset with me for causing them so much pain for 10 years. But my kids both have successfully graduated from college. My daughter, she graduated from North Carolina A&T with a 4.0 average. And my son graduated successfully from Georgia State University. So now my kids have come home. They are a part of a new company that I created called Black Women's Lives Matter. So we work together as a family. And I'm able to impart into my children the knowledge that I know. And we're able to work together and build up not only the businesses that I started, but helping them now also become their own entrepreneurs. So it's great to just see how God has helped take a situation that we thought was unrepairable, unfixable, and he's made it so great. That's the power of God.
Yes, yes. So what would you say to those mothers and those relationships with their children who still may be strained because the time was lost from when the mom left and the mom came back? Is there something that you can just share with them?
Yes, I would just say transparency. Right? So don't come in a situation that after you've been gone for 20 years and act like ain't nothing happened. You got to be transparent with your kids. So I share my flaws, my good stuff, my bad stuff. And I ask them for forgiveness because you got to really ask that. A lot of times we act like nothing never happened, but those kids, them babies was hurting. So I acknowledge their pain and they've acknowledged mine. And then I pray because what I can't do, God can do. And I watch that as time goes by and I continue to be my true authentic self, that it actually helps to heal the wounds that our family has received.
So you just gave us a lot of gems. You know, with loss, you have to make sure that you know who you are. And the only way you can do that is by knowing God. Sometimes if you are the product of the loss, ask for forgiveness.
That's right.
And I think some people don't want to ask for forgiveness, but that is key because
you have to surrender and humble yourself. So if you don't humble yourself, see, loss is a process, right? So we said it's a process that God uses to transform.
Yeah.
So we have to start seeing, what is the reason for loss? What is the reason I'm going through this struggle? What is God trying to show me? So instead of looking at it as all bad, as if we look for the opportunity, I believe it will be there, but it comes with humility, right? And humility comes with acknowledging our faults, even our faults to God.
Yeah. And I just want to say thank you, because when you started off and you said reconstruct, we just see how your God has just reconstructed your life through loss. And I'm so grateful to be here, sitting in your presence. I know my audience is like, oh, yes, rooting for you. So like I said, make sure you follow her. Please let them know, the audience know how to get in contact with you, your IG handle,
that's
everything.
What's up.
Yes.
The platform that I'm on the most is Instagram, and you can follow me on Instagram at Jamila, that's JAMILAT Davis, DAVIS.
Okay.
And it's going down. I gotta say that.
Yes.
It's going down.
It's
That's
going
my
down. Y'all don't
tagline.
even know. Y'all once you get on IG, you're going to see exactly what she said. She's about that life. Any parting words for our audience?
Just stay safe and be strong, and just know suffering is only for a short time. Something that they used to say in church all the time, which is in the Bible, joy cometh in the morning. Yeah. Look and expect your joy. Embrace your pain and allow yourself to heal, because I promise you something greater is up ahead.
Yes. So I'm thankful that you all joined us tonight at the Ask Dr. Reilly show. As you can see, my wonderful guest, Jamila T. Davis, is about that life. And whether you've lost or you are wondering how not to lose, there's always life after the storm, because you were built to outlast it, like her book says.
Yes.
Know who God is, surrender to the process, and enjoy the ride, because you don't know if that loss is setting you up to be reconstructed so you can live your best life. And I just want to say thank you again for joining us. My name is Dr. Anissa Reilly, and this is the Ask Dr. Reilly show, and I want to thank you again. Peace out. Welcome to the Dr. Reilly show.
Next time on Ask Dr. Reilly, Dr. Reilly sat down with Priscilla Etchie to talk about turning pain into power.
In that moment, hearing that still small voice to trust him, I was brought to my knees in that jail cell. And I had to trust God in that loss. And it's a whole nother beast when you come out of there and you have to put the pieces together to fight for that back. Because you say to yourself, you know, you have all the things running through your head. I'm feeling inadequate as a mom.
Yeah.
I'm feeling inadequate as a woman. How are people gonna look at me? Because everything was image to me then. I'm driving in range. I got every Louis Vuitton,
Let me stop you there, because people need to understand, when she said she was hustling, she was hustling. So just give them a picture so they can really understand what you mean.
Oh my God. There wasn't a bag or a shoe that I didn't have. There wasn't a car that I didn't drive. There wasn't a fantasy that you thought about in your head that I wasn't living. So God had to take all of that away from me, humble me to my knees, just to prove to me that you don't need any of this stuff. Me plus none of this is everything that you are ever gonna need in your life. And I learned that on the floor of a jail cell.
I'm your host, Dr. Anissa Reilly.